Hi everyone, and welcome to the Safety Artisan. The key elements of a hazard log: what needs to be in it to make it work, what can we use to create a hazard log. And I've got a definition here which is actually from the UK Ministry of Defence guidance, but it doesn't really matter where it came from. I'm just acknowledging the source. But the definition is really useful in that it tells you what a hazard log is. So we're managing a system, whatever it might be. It might be a physical system, a vehicle. It might be an enterprise, a business. It might be a piece of software. It might be an IT system. You know, you're a bank and you're using an IT system to service all your customers, etc. So it could be any one of those things. And the hazard tracking system enables us to manage all the information that we need to look at risks associated with that system. So you can use a hazard log or a risk register for in any application. But those linkages really are the key to the hazard log. And finally, as it says, it's the principal means of tracking the status of all the hazards, decisions, and actions to reduce risk. Because typically we're not doing this for the sake of it. We're doing this because we have risk and we need to manage that risk. So we have references in there and we can track the current status of where we think all these risks and hazards are. You know, how much risk is there associated with our system? Okay, so they're all one and the same thing. And also, one hazard can lead to a number of different consequences. So, for example, if we're thinking about a ship and we've got a hazard that says flooding, we're getting water in where it's not supposed to be. They're not always desirable, but they're not always harmful either. So on the right-hand side here, you can see that we've got the progression from causes through to hazard through to accidents or consequences. Okay, so these are the things that stop the accident sequence progressing. And actually, maybe it's if we go back to the previous slide, between the causes, the hazard, and the consequences. So maybe we've got a database full of documents, or maybe we've got physical documents, or a mixture of the two. The hazard log references to those documents. Okay, so you can go into the hazard log, you can follow the audit trail, and then get back to the evidence upon which all of this is based on. So not all, in fact, the minority of hazard logs in my experience go that far, but it's, you know, it's an ideal to think of. But we've noted that something untoward has happened. So, and those people in authority, they need an accurate picture of the risk to say, well, what is the real level of risk that actually is nothing to do with hazards and risk? And once we have that structure, we can start at any point in the hazard log. You know, we've had an incident, and then we can follow it through. We can follow the links through to find all the pertinent information. And essentially, that's what the structure does for us. So we've got many to many linkages between different entities. However, most people use a spreadsheet, which I know is not a relational database. But if you observe certain rules, you can have a spreadsheet that does some of what a relational database will do. And if you are careful to observe the discipline of setting up the spreadsheet correctly and not corrupting it, then you will get most of the functionality of the database. Okay. Now, they're two very different things, but they are related. So that is the relationship of a hazard log with risk assessment. And a hazard log or hazard tracking system is also hazard centric. You remember the bow tie, the hazard is there in the middle. It's the core of everything that we do. And it's the hazards that tie multiple causes and multiple consequences together. Okay. That's the thing about a hazard log. And then a risk register, as I said, we can use it for the risks of impacts to just about anything. So like the classic CMMI, the capability maturity model, the continuous improvement doesn't happen, cannot happen. Okay, So if you've got a risk register that supports that concept, it's almost identical to a hazard log. As I said before, in the second session, we're going to look at the features and benefits of commercial hazard log tools. And if you're managing a particularly complex or demanding system, it will be worth going to the expense of either buying a tool or designing your own hazard log in. So please do go and visit, and do please subscribe for email updates